Hello, guys. Good evening. I hope you are doing well. And my name is Kif Momakuju. And in this tutorial, I want to take you through object-oriented programming in Python. So, this is one of the difficult topics in coding or in programming, but I will try to make it as simple as possible so that you can understand and practice on your own until you master the concept behind object oriented programming. But otherwise, it's not difficult, guys. So, without wasting much time, let's dive right into it. Okay, so first of all, we need to name this document, this Jupyter notebook document. So I'm gonna name it object oriented programming in Python. And then, right, let's just give it a subheading here. Let's say object oriented programming in OOP. Right, so what are we going to talk about here? We are going to talk about classes, right? Because we're going to talk about classes, functions. Yeah, basically that's what we are going to talk about in this tutorial. So guys, I recommend that you revisit the previous concept that we've covered so far in Python programming, because that's how you can understand this, especially functions. If I recommend that you revisit functions, how to define functions, how to define custom functions. That will help you a lot in this tutorial, because most people they do struggle in object-oriented programming, but otherwise it's a simple concept that you need to master there. So I'll try to make it as simple as possible, guys, so don't worry. But for now, if you haven't watched my tutorial, my second Python basics video 2, please do so and revisit the functions tutorial in there. All right, so yeah, so let's just start with a simple example here. So this example that I wanna take you through is of a phone book, right? We wanna create a model, right? A model that outputs that captures the name and the phone number of the users, and then outputs that information, right, and save it in its database. But I'm going to just take you through how to just do it in a simple way. But when you are doing it, for example, in Django, you might need to go through some process. But otherwise, I just want to show you how to get started in object-oriented programming, and then you are free to look for other materials that can help you a lot in this area. Okay, so let's get started. Right, so we'll start by creating a class that we will call phonebook, right, like this. Right, so this is how you create a class. So when you create a class, I recommend that you use a noun, right, to name your classes. For example, here phone book is a noun, right? Then after that, we need to define the constructor, the init constructor, where we specify the properties that we want our class to inherit. Okay, so as I told you earlier, that we want to create a class that houses the name and the phone number of the users. So let's define these properties using the constructor, the init constructor. So we can do that by saying, so make sure that you are doing the correct indentation in Python, because Python is very sensitive of indentations. If you can't do it properly, then it will raise errors. So here you see where this one is flaking. You just say here, you press enter, and then in that drop down you start to write your init, your constructor. So to define that constructor, you say you need to define it. So we use def, meaning say define. So you use underscore init, right, like this, and then yes, that's how you come up with the constructor. So this constructor will help you to set the properties of your class. So here we say it comes with self. So for those who have used Django, I believe you understand this, right? This gives the human readable representation of your code, right? So you use the def underscore init, and in Django you can also use with the string method. Like here you use it str here where it's saying init. Okay, so yeah, so now we want the username, right? We want the name, let's say name, and then we want the phone number, so we just say phone. All right, like this. And then here we want to say that so we say self.name, and we return the name that the user is provided. Then we say self.phone, and then we say give us the phone number that the user is provided. And then we define the function that will output or that will help us to display this information, that such that whenever we call that function, it displays this information, right? So let's define it as contact. Let's say contact info being our, so we've defined a custom function there. So it is to take the parameter self here, and then once we do that, then we say print, or you may say return or print, just the same. Then you say like here we've defined the properties of the class already, so that won't be a problem. So here we say self dot name, and then we do this, we give the spacing, the correct spacing, and then we say str. You might choose not to enter str, right? So I would when I pass my arguments, I will pass my arguments is a string. That's why here I've used the str method, but otherwise you can leave it as it is. And yeah, I will show you in my future videos how to do it the other way. So here we've defined, so whenever we call this contact underscore info function, it is to return the name and the phone number of the user. That's the whole essence of it. All right, that's good. So let's now get to the point of displaying our so here we come up with a variable, and we say phone underscore book, right? That's our variable. So in this variable now, we have the value phone book, right? So write retain we write this the name of our class, which is phone book here. So inside this class we add the parameter, we add the arguments that we want our function to output. So here we'll say, I'll write my name, and I'll also write my number like this, right? That's cool. Then after that, I will say, I will call this. So what I will do is I will say, okay, I want now to output this information by calling this function. So I will say phone underscore book dot, then I'll call my function that I've created like this. So if I execute this code, it should work like this. So basically, that's how object-oriented programming in Python works. So it's just an example for you guys to appreciate what object-oriented programming is and how you can start to practice and get to understand this more as you proceed along your coding journey. So at this point, let us now come up with another let's come up with another example way of a book class, right? So let's come up with it like now. So we want to create a class that we call book, right? So in this class we'll define, we need this class to house the name of the book, the genre or the genre of the book, the author of the book, the year that it was published. All right, so let's get to it. So here we have to define the properties using this init constructor like this, and then we will say self, right? So here we will say book underscore name, book underscore genre like this, then book underscore author, then book underscore pub underscore year. So book name, book genre, book author, book pub underscore year. Okay, that's good. Then after this, we have to after we've defined this, let's continue to define the properties here. So we'll say when we display this, we want to display what's the information that is entered about the book in the system. For example, we wanted to access the book name that was given, the book underscore genre. So it's the book underscore genre that was given in book underscore author. So we retain that was given, then book underscore pub underscore year. So we say book underscore pub underscore year, right? So that's all that is to this code. Then let's define our custom function. So let's say book info, right? Book info, and we want to print self dot book underscore name, right? And remember, this process that we are doing, it's called concatenation. We are adding strings to strings. That's what we are doing here. That's why you are seeing this plus and these quotes and stuff. So don't get confused, guys. Then self dot book underscore genre, right? Then we say self book underscore author, right? Then we say plus self okay, so I want this to be a string, so I'll say self dot book underscore cab underscore year. So I think now we are done because we have put 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the 4 things that we want our code to display, so that's fine. Then here we can say book underscore details. Then we retain the name of the class. Then inside there we say Python programming for beginners, right? That's the name of the book. Book genre, let's say it's technology or programming, things like that, no problem. Then set the book author is Keith Moore, and we'll set the book pub year, let's say 2020. Right, let's call this variable book underscore details, and let's call our function. So let's see, it's saying type error, book underscore info text 0, positional arguments, but 1 was given. Let's check here. Okay, the problem that we did here is we didn't specify the self. So let's try to run our code again. Powerful, you see. So now it's saying Python programming for beginners, which is the name of the book, the technology, the genre, the name, and the year the book was published. So guys, this is super cool. This is what I wanted you to understand in object-oriented programming, and I hope that you have learned a lot. And keep on practicing, guys, and look for other materials so that you can enhance and add to your knowledge. And I'm super happy and excited that you are watching my YouTube videos. Please keep on upskilling, and yeah, just stay productive and make sure that you are investing your time wisely. So once again, guys, thank you so much. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and share my tutorials with your peers, and God bless you.